After a 10-week long hiatus, ReZERO is finally back with another episode, so let's talk about it. The episode starts off with Priscilla undressing, a start that I'm sure made a lot of fans happy. It's basically the first instance of fan service during the entire series. And not to spoil, but fortunately for all the Gwen Zero fans, we're getting a bit more fan service next arc. Type really wanted to make him happy, I guess. Liliana's dialogue during the scene is pretty out of pocket and it's kind of hilarious. A lot of novel readers hated Liliana because we had POV chapters of her during important action chapters, which felt pretty jarring, but I'm glad to say she's a lot better in the anime. She's pretty expressive and dumb and horny. She's kind of like the manifestation of all ReZero fans right now. During that fan service scene, we get a bit of exposition regarding Priscilla and Elle's relationship. It's some interesting dialogue. Priscilla doesn't trust Elle, only seeing him as a fool, but she acknowledges him as a pretty secretive guy, something that makes him similar to Anastasia in her eyes. The dialogue between Anastasia and Priscilla, while minor, does, in my opinion, serve to expand a lot upon their relationship. Priscilla also mentions how suspicious it is that the members of the Council of Ten are getting killed, despite them being the only people to know of the location of the witch's corpse, something that might be related to a certain suspicious helmeted guy in my opinion. That aside, let's get to the meat and potatoes of the episode. Reinhard, Subaru and Emilia versus Regulus. Immediately at the start of the fight, we're told that the Dragon Sword doesn't deem Regulus a worthy opponent, something that I find incredibly interesting and something that Subaru finds incredibly hilarious. It appears that strength isn't a factor that the Dragon Sword considers when deciding whether it shall be drawn or not. Regulus is so busted he can actually hit Reinhardt, but the Dragon Sword doesn't deem him worthy, while someone who appears substantially weaker than Regulus like Puck is deemed worthy, which is pretty interesting. Right when Regulus is off guard, Emilia attempts to fight back against him, yet he's too strong. He begins to choke her and threatens to kill his wives, declaring that Reinhard and Subaru would have forced him to murder his beloved wives. It's intriguing to me how Regulus seems to always want to justify himself in any situation. His self-image and how he's viewed seems integral to his world and self-view. Along with that, something that makes Reinhard and Regulus's dynamic so interesting is how they perceive themselves and how they're perceived by others. Reinhard, a man who views himself as an imperfect being, is viewed by others as perfect. Along with that, he's seen as a beacon of hope and strength, bringing hope to everyone in Lagunica. Regulus, on the other hand, views himself as a perfect being, always wanting to justify himself no matter the situation, and just like Reinhard, he is seen as a beacon of absolute strength. But unlike Reinhard, Regulus' strength is an oppressive force, gouging fear deep into the hearts of others, especially his beloved wives. His wives being too scared to even move away from the battlefield. Character analysis aside, Reinhard stops Regulus from killing Emilia and the wives by offering to negotiate. Regulus demands that Reinhard takes one hit from him without dodging or blocking, to which Reinhard agrees. Right after that, Regulus appears to instantly one-shot Reinhard. Reinhard does confirm that he was actually killed by the attack, which is extremely shocking. It's something that shows us how truly busted Regulus is. It appears that Regulus's authority transcends even Reinhardt's countless divine protections, something that makes the upcoming battle feel even more dangerous to Reinhard and even more exciting for us as the audience. Right after Reinhard gets killed, he revives using the divine protection of the Phoenix. I and many other novel readers wanted this scene to be a cliffhanger at the end of the episode, with Reinhard getting killed at the end of episode 9 and getting revived at the start of episode 10. The choice to do it all in one episode is rather strange, but it is what it is. The web novel Subaru does comment that Reinhard is stealing his niche, and Emilia feels burdened by the fact that Reinhard had to die for her, which is incredibly ironic in my opinion. After Reinhard gets revived, he engages Regulus with an attack that's stated in the novels to have cut space itself in half. And despite all that, Regulus just tanks Reinhard's attack like it's nothing. To make the fight feel even more tense, it appears that Reinhard can't damage Regulus, while the opposite isn't true, and the fact that Reinhard can't even draw the Dragon Sword means that Reinhard is incredibly nerfed during this fight. Despite that, Reinhard continues to engage Regulus while leaving the role of figuring out his invincibility to Subaru, thus starting the battle between the strongest knight and the strongest witch cultist. Aside from the Regulus fight, this episode also serves to set up plenty of other important episodes. Otto has a run-in into gluttony again, yet this time he isn't alone, as Felt and the members of the White Dragon Scale, basically fodders, are there to fight against gluttony. It's also the first time one of our cast members figures out that there are multiple gluttonies. As Otto sees Eli, he begins talking about the great hero who gave the speech earlier, mimicking him in an awfully eerie way. Otto attempts to negotiate with Eli, yet he has none of that, becoming hostile immediately, declaring how much he despises merchants. An interesting piece of characterization in my eyes. Another team who has a meeting with a gluttony are Julius and Ricardo. Gluttony refers to Julius as Nisama, implying that Joshua has been eaten by them. Said line, by the way, is erroneously mistranslated by Crunchyroll. It seemed that they want to go 8 for 8 this core too. Crunchyroll's awful translations aside, Julius Caesar idiotic kills his full name to gluttony, which I feel is implication that this fight isn't going to go well at all for him and Ricardo. On the other side of Pristella, Garfield and Wilhelm meet with Kurgan and Tricia. Wilhelm's encounter with Tricia is honestly chilling. Seeing his dead wife's corpse desecrated must have been incredibly heartbreaking to Wilhelm. The scenes we get of Wilhelm clashing swords with his wife are incredibly beautifully animated though. That aside, in the novels we're told that Garfield is incredibly fond of stories, especially those of legends, as he mentioned the first sword saint in season 2. Thus he has knowledge about Kurgan and doubts if he can defeat such a legendary hero. Garfield is still plagued by PTSD from the Elsa fight, and the encounters with so many legendary figures in Pristella hasn't helped his mentality one bit. This fight will essentially make or break Garfield, as his worth as a warrior rests upon the results of his battle with the legendary hero Kurgan. Albeit right after he begins confronting Kurgan, a massive blood clot seemingly made by Capella falls on top of both of them, seemingly taking both out. At the end of the episode, we see that Capella has decided to give an application to join the Crush camp, giving Crush and Felix an unpleasant, to say the least, visit. Overall, I'd say the episode was pretty great and an incredible start to the new cour. While we didn't get any new openings or endings, which is something that I found rather disappointing, it's not a massive deal. The animation this episode has been especially incredible, with the little snippets we see of the fights all looking incredibly gorgeous. The darker nighttime lighting also feels a lot more fitting. While I've seen some people complain about how the episode didn't feel tense enough, with the scenes of Reinhard getting killed and Capella sneaking into the city hall being supposedly rushed, I think it's a bit of an overreaction. Tension in this episode feels substantially better in my opinion in comparison to Core 1. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, please like and subscribe and comment your thoughts about the episode, as this helps with the silly little YouTube algorithm. This is my first video ever, so the script writing and editing might be a bit rough. For that I apologize. Also I apologize if the audio is a bit weird since I've been sick for the last few days and the half Egyptian accent doesn't help. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok and Instagram, and this is where I share my thoughts more often. And remember to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.